Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the debrief from Everton 1, West Ham 1. Looking forward to this show, actually. This is a show where you guys have your say, where most of the next half an hour is taken up by putting comments up on the screen, having a little discussion and seeing what you guys think. But over the last few weeks, understandably, most of the talk, it started off with the transfer window because the game's season starts in August. So most of the talk was around transfers. Then it was around Graham Potter, or Potter out, rather. So today feels like maybe the first time we could actually just have a calm discussion around the actual game, which was what this show was meant to be about when we created it. Myself and Charlie launched it a couple of years ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you're saying in live chat, because I think there's been a lot of contrasting opinions regarding some players. I think most people are on the same wavelength in terms of the team performance and gaining a point, and even Nuno to some extent, but saying that some people perhaps before the Everton game weren't keen on Nuno or loved him. But in regards to Nuno last night, I think most people are in agreement. But there's certainly some players who maybe are varying in opinions from West Ham fans. But it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. It's about what you think. So get your opinions into the live chat. Anything West Ham, Nuno, a certain player that played last night, the Everton game, the Arsenal game, whatever you want to talk about, pop it into the live chat. Let's get up on the screen and let's have a chit chat, if you don't mind. Pierre saying green shoots showing a long way to go. How long until Sullivan messes it up? Brian saying it's miserable. It's nice not to be miserable the day after a game. I feel the same as I did on Saturday. So on Saturday, Potter got sacked and I was relieved, and it was pretty obvious early on, I think, and almost immediately he was sacked. It was quite obvious that Nuno was lined up. And I felt okay with the transfer signing. It's not okay with the signing. I felt quite good with the appointment of Nuno. I thought he was the best of who's available, really. I thought we could have got it wrong. And to get it sort of right in my eyes, in the sense that Nuno was the best candidate, I was pleased with that. And we've gone and played Everton, and I don't think my opinion of Nuno's changed whatsoever last night. If anything, last night, I felt all I got was confirmation regarding how I felt about Nuno coming in to West Ham. So since Saturday, I've been feeling quite relieved. And I think I'm still feeling like that. I'm still feeling a sense of relief that Potter's gone and Nuno's come in. And last night didn't really make me feel, happy. I'm not buzzing that we drew against Everton, but I'm feeling, on the positive side of things. I'm certainly not feeling downbeat either. I just wish that Nuno had more time on the training ground. I think maybe we would have been able to nick that if he had. Paul said, I quite enjoyed it last night. Summerville, the best player on the pitch. Promising signs from Potts, Diouf, Fernandez, Magassa. Desperately need a pacey number 9, but then we have needed that for 7 to 8 years. I think that's what he's trying to say, and not that we've got 7 to 8 years. We definitely don't have 7 to 8 years. I think he's meaning we needed a striker for the last 7, 8 years. Randy saying, do we think Nuno will stick with the same side going into the Arsenal game? Yeah, I think so. I'd be surprised if we changed it. Brian said, I think Wan-Bissaka needs another go. I think him and Bowen give us better options going forward. It's a nice dilemma to have, certainly. I think what I would like to see, I'll say it now, if Wan-Bissaka's back for Arsenal, which I expect he will be, we had to do a sub last night, take Summerville off. And I understand why he had to take him off, right? I'm not saying that Potter shouldn't have brought him off. I was disappointed at the time because I felt Summerville looked like he still had something left in his tank. I thought he was still causing Everton problems right up until he went off. So when he went off, it was a bit disappointing. And I think the drop-off to Guilherme was quite drastic. Guilherme tried. He's still learning his trade, but he's not at the level of Summerville. So if we're playing Arsenal and Summerville needs to come off, I think the sub I would make, stick with me, hear me out. I would take Summerville off and put Wan-Bissaka on. I would then put Wan-Bissaka, well, he could go left back, I suppose. You could put right back, but I'd have him and Walker-Peters as the fullbacks. Take your pick as to who goes which side, and then move Diouf into that left wing position. Given that there'd only be 10, 15 minutes left on the clock, maybe Diouf would be getting a little bit tired himself, so maybe just getting him out of that defensive area, putting him up in the left wing area, and just really trying to utilize his crossing That's what I would do. I think I'd be more keen to see that than Guilherme. And it's not to say that I want to see Guilherme long term just for Arsenal on Saturday. I think that's maybe a substitute I wouldn't be against seeing. I think we'd get stronger defensively and we'd have a different element to our attack then, having a left-footed winger rather than Summerville. Will says, thoughts on Magassa seems to have some mixed opinions on his performance. I thought he played well. Got a podcast going up tomorrow morning with Frankie. We discussed, well, he discusses Magassa. I discussed some on the player ratings over on Patreon, but for anyone that isn't a patron, I will say, me and Gonzo, we gave him two different marks. I thought Gonzo was quite low, and obviously by that, Gonzo think I went too high with Magassa, but I thought he did well. When I say Gonzo went low, I feel like I'm taking it out of context here. He gave him a lot of plaudits. He just had some criticisms to go alongside it. So a little bit different. Well, if you want to go check it out, grab the trial, watch the player ratings, and then cancel the trial before your first payment. Brian saying Walker Peters is quality, but Wan-Bissaka gave us so much last season. Need to see it again. Paul saying Magassa's 20, a unit, quite mobile, always wanted the ball. I think he's got potential. Reminds me of Mark Vivian Foy. Max is tuning in on his break. Good. Do you live in the UK or do you live abroad? What do you do? You don't mind me. You don't have to tell me. I'm just interested what you're doing. And but it's very kind of you. Hopefully I'll distract you for 15 minutes, half an hour. Finn saying was a better performance than expected in the first half. Dan and saying Magassa played well on the whole. Summerville and Diouf, men of the match. Stephen doesn't like Magassa, though. Legs of string. Scott saying, is Nuno really someone you can compare to Moyes? He ended up with this oldest, slowest squad from his own making. Nuno wouldn't go about it like that for the way he likes to play. I haven't really compared him too much to Moyes. I've maybe made one or two comments, but it's not really... It's something I'm trying to stay away from, if anything. But I'm going to do an in-depth video about it after the Arsenal game. There's an international break, so I've got a couple of topics I want to discuss. And one of it is in regards to sort of Nuno / Moyes, Lopetegui and Potter. So if you don't mind, I'll wait till then. But I think the squad building thing, I don't solely put it down to David Moyes, to answer your question. I think there's certain players I could point to that Moyes wanted, but he didn't get because of the board's failures to acquire those players. And some of those players were on the younger side of things. I think the big mistake, I honestly think the big mistake with Moyes was getting James Ward-Prowse. I think had he got someone on the younger side of things in midfield, I think the team would have looked a hell of a lot different. But as I always say, I don't mind the squad he left us with. It needed a lot of work, but we had 150 million to spend. We should have been able to spend 150 million. And if we spent it well, we would have been able to really get to work with that squad. Here's the thing. Since Moyes left, we've signed more players over the age of 30. 30 and over, we've signed more players under Lopetegui, I think. Never mind Potter. Just under Lopetegui, we signed more players over the age of 30 than we did during the entire spell of David Moyes. So yes, maybe he did leave us with an aging squad. We made it older. Adding the likes of Fulkrug and Rodriguez, we made it older. So I'm not too beating Moyes up with that stick, personally. Saying, I hope Earthy gets his chance when he recovers. I'm a bit worried about that one, to be honest with you. Bet saying, how do you rate your chance of avoiding relegation with Nuno? And now I thought you were definitely gone with Potter. Who do you support? Your wording tells me you're not a West Ham fan, so I like to know who you support. Brett, if you don't mind, let us know who you support and what do you think. I think we'll be all right now. I think we'll be okay. Joe said, I was actually pleased to see our players get booked and show some aggression and fight. I still think we need more of the latter. Bull in Legacy says we're going to be okay. So I just wish people stop with the doom and gloom in Nuno we trust. I think a lot of people have stopped since Nuno's come in. I feel like there's an air of positivity at the minute. And if it's a criticism of people being negative under Graham Potter, I would suggest they're justified, given that A, he's been sacked, and B, we'd lost 5 out of 6. I don't know. I disagree with you. I disagree with your comment that people need to stop with doom and gloom. I think people should be honest. And if it's negative, it's negative. If it's positive, brilliant. Avid said, I'm astonished at how good I feel after just getting a point away to Everton. At least we didn't lose to Moyes, but there's definitely something to look forward to. I think it's perhaps just the bigger picture, Avid. I think you may be feeling good, not about the point at Everton. I think you may be feeling good that Potter's gone, Nuno's come in. We're more likely to survive relegation. The attitude of the players was looking a lot better. I think it's perhaps the bigger picture that you're feeling good at rather than the actual 1 point. Damien saying, Paqueta on board, negativity is simply about them losing possession. For me, though, they were trying to play forward under instruction rather than recycling it backwards. We'd rather see that. Gada said we were unlucky not to get the win. Special one thinks Magassa will be good. David loved watching Moyes lose his temper on the touchline as a non-West Ham manager. Paul said Summerville was unreal, end product lacking, but he's rapid. So direct. Will be a top player if he can add end product. 10 times a player Ben Rama was. Pierre said, I think with Marshall up top, Paqueta would have more options with the ball at his feet. That's fair. I've been critical of Paqueta from last night's game, but I think what Pierre said is fair. Simon saying, Magassa promising after shaky start, offers dynamism that's been missing. Potts seamless replacement to Paqueta, frustrating. Solma said, interestingly left out Todibo and Ward-Prowse, completely out of the squad. He didn't even know who Todibo was. I've seen the clip getting asked about Todibo and Ward-Prowse, and he says, he was basically like, who? And he said Todibo. He's like, oh yeah. Scott said, I noticed one big difference in regards to Moyes is that at Everton, you got the players, especially the centre-backs, that he wanted. Not sure he did at West Ham. MJ said, what is absolutely clear about the Everton game is that West Ham have the players to comfortably stay away from relegation if we get the best out of them. Dean really enjoyed last night. It's been a long time since we played well. I know we beat Forest 3-0, but it's not since before Lopetegui came in. I actually at no point thought we'd lose at the end. Ralph said it's good to see Potts and no Ward-Prowse hopeful for the future, but defence still worries him. I've seen a few Everton fans being quite complimentary about Freddie Potts, actually. Some Everton fans saying that he came on and like composed himself on the game. And there was an Everton fan said he had James Garner on a dog lead, which I like that. That was a nice sentence. Roy said, felt like I was watching a proper team in a proper game with a proper manager. Curvin Ord said it's good to see youngsters starting on the bench and actually subbed on. Davis says we need identity, but Nuno can provide that. Randy said, how many points do you think Nuno needs to get as a starting point going into the crucial fixtures? What do you want Nuno to work on? We'll do the working on thing if you don't mind. Give me your thoughts though, Randy. I'd rather you give me your opinions in this show rather than ask me questions. I do 6 videos a week giving my opinions on stuff. This is the video I'd like to know yours. But for the points, I've written Arsenal off. I've done a little bit of a West Ham board thing. If we can get anything brilliant, and it's not saying I don't want to play the game, but I'm just expecting to get beaten. I'm not going to use it against Nuno. For Nuno, judgment starts after the international break. Brentford at home, Leeds away, Newcastle away, Burnley at home. Big games. Yes, take Newcastle out of there. The other 3 are huge. We've got to be getting a minimum of 7 points from those 4 games, I think, at least. If we can get something on Saturday, incredible. A point would be fantastic. Getting to more than 7 points in those 4 games, I think we're looking good. But those 4 games are the crucial run. We come out of that with less than 7. I think I might start to worry a little bit. It might come down to January. How much money do we have to spend? Jeff says, just hope we don't get turned over by Arsenal, enjoying the positive vibes with the fans at the moment. Joan said, I was very pleased with Magassa and Potts. Magassa has a steep learning curve ahead of him, but he looks a prospect and Nuno wanted him. Robert said, hasn't the board stated the club has PSR problems? Not if you read the statement. If you read the statement, that got put up a week or 2 ago, basically said we're all right for PSR. Don't worry about it. Hammer99 said, Fernandez, Potts and Magassa all under 22 years of age and all look really composed. Really promising signs for the future. You can add Diouf into that as well. I appreciate you talking about midfield though. How the latter 2 were below Ward-Prowse and Potter's pecking order is mind-blowing. And Colin saying, do you think we will struggle for goals as strikers aren't the best? We'll probably create a lot of chances, but I don't think we are the best strikers. Possibly. I think the striker thing's frustrating. I'm trying to not go on about it because I felt like I banged on about it all summer. And after the transfer window closed, I was still whinging about it. But it's my honest opinions, right? I feel like we're missing a striker, and I know subscribers will tell me just shut up and get on with it and stop whinging. But I feel like my fears are being proven post transfer window. We're missing a bloody striker. I think if we had a striker, a better striker than Fulkrug that's more suitable last night, I think we might win that game. Sam says, nice to see a manager celebrate our goal like he cares. Absolutely. Loved it. Wait till he gets his coaching team in there. I don't know if you watched much of Nottingham Forest, Sam, but if you didn't, you're going to be in for a nice treat. Mark said, last night highlighted our need for striker. There you go, Mark. Thank you. A good point, but had we had a decent striker on the end of those Diouf crosses, we could have come away with 3. Brian said, it was just nice to have movement in midfield. The difference of having more press than Souček was monumental. I will say, I think Souček on the bench last night, and we could have pinched that. I think if Everton had Souček on the bench last night, they could have pinched that. Paul said, Diouf is so exciting. His energy and quality of deliveries are superb. He will be on the radar of bigger clubs if he keeps this up. I do agree. Christian saying, Nuno's very interesting when interviewed. Total opposite to Potter. He regularly challenges the interviewer's narrative and often disagrees. It's refreshing. Ralph saying McTominay was one of those that Graham Potter wanted. God, I'm far behind in the chat. Apologies. Avid saying the away fans deserve extra credit for showing the board the atmosphere we could create with a proper stadium. Only 3,000 fans, but it's all you could hear in the coverage. Well done. Hammered at 9 saying Bowen and Summerville as a pair will be better than Alanga and Hudson-Odoi were for Forest. Just got to hope Fulkrug can step up. A couple of chances last night he snatched at. More composure needed. Elspedian said, I've been burnt by believing Potter. I'm keeping my optimism in check with Nuno. We all go through things like that, Elspedian. I've gone through it with him. I've already gone through it with Mad Sir Manson. And I'm 17 minutes into the video. Don't care. I'm going to say it. I might get criticism for this, but I don't really care. It's my honest thoughts. I still think it comes good. I still think Hermansen will do all right. He's still really young for a goalkeeper. The stupid thing is, though, we let Xavi Valero go, brought in Kasper Ank again, and he's sacked. And now you're thinking, oh, assuming Valero's a good goalkeeping coach, bear in mind he got scooped up by Liverpool, so one would assume so. Maybe have done with him. Anyway, just want to point in direction of our raffle. It's running until Sunday. Got 3 prizes up for grabs. 3 prizes will be won by someone. A signed Jared Bowen captain's armband. We've got a signed Jared Bowen shirt. And we've also got a Conference League final program signed by Jared Bowen as well. Just for clarity, the football shirt and the armband, they're not to match worn. They're just signed by Bowen. Tickets are £5. If you buy 2 tickets, you get a 3rd ticket for free. To grab tickets for the raffle, the link is in the description below. And if I remember, I'll pop it into the pinned comments as well. But also for transparency purposes, all the monies, all the profit from the raffle comes into Hammers Chat to help us keep doing this as a job. So massive thank you to everybody who's got a ticket so far, and best of luck. Paul saying, Moyes wanted Eze, we got Ben Rama. Bill said, one thing I don't like, also true what Paul said, one thing I don't like about Nuno is team and not pressing. There was a point where Pickford was 35 yards out of goal and didn't put pressure on him. And get used to it. That ain't changing. That is Nuno's philosophy. Jonah saying, do you think Callum Marshall will get some chances with Nuno, or does he like more experienced strikers? Give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. John saying, nice. Would like to see Diouf moved into left wing late in games if we're going for a win. I'm really far behind. Let me just skip a little bit. Mark saying, I think we'll be okay now, but it's early days. Elder saying, a new positivity. Haha saying, if Nuno was bringing his own staff, I hope Mark Robson stays in the dressing room. He's had a few days to have a little look and see what the coaches are about and if there's any likes. One thing I will say, though, I think Robson, to be fair, all of them, the under 21s are doing quite good, and they have been for a little while, not just the academy in general. I feel like I don't want to take components of that out. But I think if we do, I think this is where Noble needs to almost sort it so that if Nuno goes, or when Nuno goes, And naturally, his backroom staff will go, Mark Robson does not. And you may find that Nuno really likes him, and if he goes to another job, he might come back and say, I'm having Robson, thank you. So it could be a little bit risky, but if Robson wants a promotion, you never know. He might not. Maybe he likes working with the academy. Brian saying, what do you make of Bowen's celebration? I'm curious. Possibly, I thought it was about the article The Athletic ran over the weekend, personally. It's up to you how you interpret it. Everyone will look at it differently. But what I thought he was doing, because he was doing that, I thought it was because The Athletic did an article saying that, Potter was unsure of Jared Bowen as a captain. There was question marks over his captaincy and his leadership ran by The Athletic over the weekend. So I thought it was in response to that. That's how I picked up. Brett, who commented earlier, is a Sunderland fan. Like to try and be neutral. I think pointing Nuno was a great bit of business. Potter couldn't turn it around for you. Okay, then. Important question, Brett, if you're still here. Thank you. But if you're still here, who do you think is going down? If you think it's us, say it's us. Also, bloody good start by Sunderland. Dan saying need Paqueta and Fernandes to create more. That's their responsibility. Simon saying we didn't start playing until 60 minutes, but what I saw for the last half hour was good. Avid saying Summerville will be great under Nuno. He's got the pace and tricky to buy free kicks in dangerous places. When's the last time we had that? Now we just need a set-piece specialist. And there's a laugh emoji for anyone just listening. Will saying, do we think the team he played is his strongest lineup available? Then you can maybe make an argument that Wan-Bissaka should be in there. I think there's still question marks over Magassa. Is he the best option? And also the striker, is Fulkrug the best option? Maybe from the players available, the answer is yes and yes, but perhaps something he's going to want to address in January. Same with the goalkeepers. Ariola, the best one. Oh, I forgot. I've got my nonsense. Maybe I'll just keep doing comments. You guys let me know. We'll just finish off with I've got 10 more minutes. We'll just keep doing comments, or do you want some GEO nonsense? Basically, it's when I go get my screenshots from a goal we conceded and point out state the obvious, essentially. Kenta, apologies for coughing at you, says loves the positivity and think Nuno will do well, but cautious about giving him too much credit for yesterday after only being here for 3 days. Very happy he's here. I think that's very fair. Brad said I didn't rate him, but I think if we have Beto instead of Fulkrug, we win by 2 goals. I mean, that's bold, but I'm quite anti-Beto. I just think he's a bit of a donkey, to be honest with you. Bill believes Marshall would have done a job. GBR wants Wilson to start against Arsenal. Aiden said, can we re-sign Javi Valero? Probably not. Jordan saying, Diouf, Magassa, Fernandes all look good. I have faith Hermansen will come good. Hope we keep Macaulay. Colin says, not sure with the Nuno appointment myself. Very, very early days and still a lot of doom and gloom within the club. And that is very, very fair, Colin. You don't have to like it or celebrate it or anything like that. You don't have to. You pop your honest thoughts into the live chat like everyone else. John is saying, I think Marshall should have been on sooner. Fulkrug was awful. I would have put Wilson on for him, but I agree. Peter saying, do we know Macaulay staying? I don't know, but I hope so. I know Gonzo was going to cut out a bit of the Diouf stuff from the player ratings. And that's when I spoke about Kyle Macaulay. I don't know if he left it in there or not. I haven't watched it because I know what he says. It's about Diouf, right? So let me know. But if not, I'll speak about Kyle Macaulay very briefly. Right, Ralph, Minnie, Brian, Fred, all want a bit of nonsense. So if you don't like nonsense, you can blame them. Okay, first of all, I'm going to fight back against a couple of people in the watch along last night because I said Diouf was responsible for marking Michael Keane, and some people in the live chat and the watch along said I was wrong, and it wasn't Diouf that was responsible for marking Michael Keane, but I was 99% sure. But I went and had a look. Right, I'm saying that's Diouf marking Michael Keane. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Right, I'm saying that's him. I think that's quite conclusive that Diouf is marking Michael Keane. Now, I don't expect or want apologies from those in the live chat accusing me of lying. But I'd like to think they can go, okay, fair enough, you were right. Anyway, that's not really the point necessarily. It's how we dealt with it. I actually thought we dealt with our set pieces quite well last night. I think, that corner, Areola got a great fist to it, punched it, got distance on it. I thought Areola was brilliant at that. Now, it's not the last time we're going to mention Areola. So the ball comes out. Ganagay gets it on the right. He gives it to Dewsbury Hall, who's now got the ball. I've highlighted 2 West Ham players, the 2 culprits, in my opinion. You got Diouf still right next to Michael Keane, and you got Mavropanos, who's next to Tarkowski. Now, as you can see with Tarkowski, who's next to Mavropanos, he's pointing at James Garner, who's off the screen. Have a look at your bottom left screen. You can't see anyone. He's off the page, but he's there. Tarkowski's saying, give it out to him, right? And that's exactly what Dewsbury Hall does. Out it goes. So James Garner lines up his cross, whips it in. You can see Diouf is no longer on Michael Keane. Beto has now moved in between the two. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's just throwing Diouf a little bit. Diouf just does not move at all. So Michael Keane's now on the move. You can see, we all know where he goes. And Mavropanos is there looking at the ball and hasn't a Scooby where Michael Keane is or where Michael Keane's going to go. And now here's the ball halfway into the box. And again, you all know what happens here. Diouf hasn't moved. Keane has. Mavropanos hasn't. Bang, header. But a couple of subscribers commented on my videos last night saying, you might want to have a look at Alphonse Areola. And a couple of people said Areola was pretty poor for the goal. Now, I couldn't remember him, like what he was doing. But have a look at these clips. I can't play the video, so have a look at these screenshots. Look, Areola's positioning is fine. It's okay. What's he doing? Why is he still there? The more I watch it, the more I think, what on earth is Areola doing? He sort of comes for it, but doesn't. He comes to the edge of his 6-yard box and stops. Michael Keane's header, which is what subscribers pointed out to me, ends up going down the middle of the goal. Now, I made a comment about Hermansen earlier, and this isn't meant to be a pro-Hermansen thing. I think if Hermansen was in goal last night, I think he gets a lot of criticism for that goal conceded. Because go back and watch it. The highlights will be on YouTube. Go back and watch it and just watch Areola. He comes out, stops, and then the header is down the middle of the goal. But because Areola's positioning is so bad, he's got no chance of saving it. So I think Diouf is to blame initially, and then Mavropanos is to blame, and then Areola's to blame. So I think all 3 of them are at fault for conceding that goal, to be honest with you. But I actually, positive, I thought we defended the set piece as well, which is what we were struggling with under Graham Potter. I thought corners, free kicks, Everton felt like they got plenty of free kicks, especially because whenever they got a free kick inside our half, even if it was on the halfway line, they were pumping that into the box. Fulkrug, Kilman, Mavropanos, those 3 in particular, I think we're defending set pieces pretty well, actually. So I will say that. Well done to that aspect of the game. Ruddy saying Diouf shouldn't follow defender to be out of position on the right side, but perhaps not, but at least pass him on, at least tell someone that, oh, by the way, this guy's on the move. And it happened Sunderland away, Dan Ballard's goal. It happened in that one. Paqueta was marking Ballard. The ball got cleared out, and Paqueta ran off and just left Dan Ballard. So when the ball came back in, Ballard was just unmarked. No one around him because the person that was marking him stopped marking him for the second phase of attack. And that's what's happened again. So I think it's just poor communication, I guess. If Diouf is not going to mark him, you need to pass him on. You need to communicate to... You've got Kilman and Mavropanos next to you. You need to be giving them a shout that Keane's on his way, because Mavropanos should be attacking that space. He doesn't have a clue that Michael Keane's on his way. He's just been watching the ball for the entire time. So I think it's just a bit poor. All 3 of them were poor. I think all 3 of them could have done a little bit better in that regards. David said, I'm having second thoughts about the boycott simply because it's the only home game of October. Do what you want, David. Go if you want to go. Don't go if you wish to participate in the protest. I will always be pro-choice, and it's up to you what you do, and it's no one else's business what you do either, in my opinion. So go if you want. The other thing I will say is that there's a protest for every single home game this season. So Newcastle, it's a sit-in protest after the game, and then Burnley, there's a march before the game. So there's going to be more and more protests this season. So if you don't participate in the Brentford one, there's other ones you can participate in. Likewise, if you do participate in Brentford one, there's other ones you can continue to, or you don't have to. Completely up to you. Jay said, I think Avila was okay. I thought he was okay yesterday as well, by the way. Don't blame Mavpanos either. It's his jump that makes him look bad, but it wasn't his man, so it wasn't down to him. Yeah, I don't think one person's to blame. I don't think it's anyone. I think it's all three of them, to be honest with you. Tony's saying if we could stop crosses coming into our box, it would alleviate the goals in the first place. We never do. Yeah, especially the whatever the goal was. Crystal Palace one, the Mitchell one. That was the one. We just let whoever it was that swung it in have all the time in the world. Brian saying, I don't blame Diouf at all on that. I blame Mavpanos and then Areola. Awful goalkeeping position. Charles saying Dinos doesn't adapt or read situations. And Fred saying if Diouf didn't do just that, we got a draw in regards to not marking his man. Jay said, think Hermanson will come back into the team and by the end of the season will be the number one. Paddy saying it's refreshing to have a manager who makes sensible substitutions and sensible times. PCTs, it wasn't Ariola's worst performance in a West Ham shirt, but I think Hermanson gets a chance after the break. Charles saying we've got no communication or leadership between the defence and goalkeeper. Brendan thought we were harsh on Mavpanos. That pass from Ariola was a hostile pass. Hang on a minute. Go back and listen. Please, Brendan. Go back and listen. I said those things. I said it was a bad pass from Ariola, and I also said that he done good to recover. Now, I also say it in the podcast with Frankie tomorrow, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did. I 100% said it. So I've already recorded podcast with Frankie, which goes live tomorrow morning, maybe at 8 a.m. And we speak about that part. And I give Mavpanos praise despite his error. Plus, I gave him a 5, which means average. I thought he was. I thought he was average. I thought Mavpanos was okay last night. I don't think he was good. Don't think he was terrible. I thought he was okay. A couple of iffy points. Steve saying, Fulkrug looks to be a paperweight striker. Keeps getting beaten up by the defenders. Paul saying not having Hermanson. Doesn't come off his line is shorter than Sullivan. We're not doing the height thing again. I'm assuming you didn't see the build-up show last night. Understandable. But we're not doing this height again. Charles says we need a Tarkowski type shouting orders at Kilman, Mavpanos and Summerville. I wouldn't be surprised that's something we're looking for in January. Like an old school, just a cheap centre-back. Like someone that can get in for 2 or 3 million or get on loan for 6 months. Someone like Michael Keane, who I appreciate he's playing at the minute. But I think once Branthwaite's up and running, I think Michael Keane might be on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised we're looking at players like him. I do think we've missed a huge opportunity with Kiwior when he went to Porto. I think he's someone we should have went for. I would have really liked him. I think he's a top defender. Richard says for the Arsenal game, it's more about performance than the result. If that we need to fight for every ball, and our players need to keep being positive and not give up after 1 hour. Real Ale saying the key for him was tactical masterstroke Nuno made. Potts shadowed. James Garner. Dewsbury Hall, that's it. Sorry. Potts shadowed Dewsbury Hall, took him out of the game, shadowed him when they were in possession. Ralph said, I'm going to make my mind up on Nuno after 5 games. I've already made my mind up on him. It's a bit like Lopetegui because I've got like a pre-West Ham opinion of him. And to be fair, Potter was even worse than I thought. Because I know these managers and I've watched a lot of their football, I feel like I've already judged him before he's had a game at West Ham. I'll judge him as West Ham manager, but my opinion on Nuno is quite strong already. Whereas my opinion on Magassa barely exists. Randy says, one thing I will say is when it comes to the team trying to take initiative at home with Nuno, is there a concern? As just like Moyes, we seem to be better to hit on the transition. Now, tomorrow I am doing a video with the Nottingham Forest fan. Put up a community post earlier on the channel. So if you have a question for a Nottingham Forest fan, do not put it in a live chat. Do not put it on the video in the comment section underneath this video. Click on the channel, click on community, and pop your post in there. I'm recording at 10 a.m. So get your questions in by then. So if you do have any questions for a Nottingham Forest fan, then pop them in and I'll do my best to ask as many as possible. And that's going to go up tomorrow evening. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you because I'll tell you exactly why. It's Grace's bedtime. So I've got to get out of here because her bedroom is my office is her bedroom, whichever way you want to look at it. I just want to say massive thank you. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to you guys for sticking with me. Thank you for the support. If you could drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up, that would be hugely appreciated. Do subscribe if you're new to Hamish Chat as well. 2 videos going up tomorrow, a podcast for Frankie in the morning, then a video with the Nottingham Forest fan will be going up in the evening as well. But honestly, thank you very much. I mean it. I appreciate it. And I'll catch up with you in a bit.